maybe like a year from now, we just make a hard switch.
Just switch
leave
over.
the name the same.
Keep the name.
Just start talking music.
Don't explain it at all and pretend like actually as if we've been talking music every single week for months.
Yeah. Movies, video games, whatever you want to switch to. We'll just have a hard reset.
Every week it's a different type of podcast.
And as always, we're covering the Oscars. And as always, we're covering the newest in video games.
Dude, that actually, not for this podcast, but that might be a brilliant idea for podcast we just had.
Really funny.
Just the ultimate variety show.
Unqualified opinions.
Yes. There's our name. Oh my
that's
God.
so good.
Unqualified.
Actually, we should think about that.
Unqualified opinions with Neil Austin and Alex Cain.
Yeah.
It was weird saying our real names right then.
It is.
It didn't feel right.
So do that thing we do.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Big Freakin Health Coach podcast. I'm BigFreakinNeil, and I'm joined, of course, as always, every week without exception, my business partner, buddy, brain twin, HealthCoachCain. What's up, dude?
Even after all these episodes, that intro gets me fired up every time. I can't help but smile. I have to actually consciously keep from saying, "Oh, I love it," every single time. And if you listen to like the first dozen episodes, I literally say it every time.
Just lean into the mic and whisper, "I love it."
Oh, that's so good. Hey, big guy.
Hey, buddy. How's it going?
It's going good, man.
Yeah.
It's going real good. Yeah. I could use some caffeine, though.
Same here, and I see you holding the caffeinated beverage for me.
Yeah.
And
I hope you just hate it.
I'd really like to consume it. I have one for you as well.
You look like you were a lot nicer to me this week.
I was very nice to you this week. I discovered that Bang, which is a mutual favorite of ours, just have new flavors all the time.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it. It's like the Wonka factory.
They keep expanding their already 6,000 flavor varieties, which are all delicious.
I haven't had a bad one.
I haven't either, honestly. This is called Radical Skedaddle. Skedaddle? This is hard to say, dude.
Radical. Easier after the caffeine.
Radical Skedaddle.
That sounds absolutely incredible.
So I'm wondering, like, radical, like, what is this trying to emulate?
My money, honestly, Skittles.
I was just about to say that. That's what I put my money on. Strong Skittle vibes. And they probably can't say something too close to Skittles.
Radical Skittle.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Radical Skididdle.
I bet that's what it is, and I bet it's going to be delicious. So,
cool. I like it.
There you go, buddy.
That's lovely. It looks nice pink and baby blue.
I know, right?
I got you this garbage.
Some terrible.
It has high quality written on it, but it also has good luck written on it.
What?
It is Stumptown Original Nitro Cold Brew Coffee in a can.
Okay.
So, infused nitrogen, perishable. God, I cannot freaking talk today. This is going to just be a whole episode.
We're just going to be...
What I meant to say was...
just stumbling over our tongues.
Yeah, this is... I hope it's awful. There you go. That's payback for that one bear one that you got me.
So...
Yeah.
What about the keto one? Or the bulletproof one?
The bulletproof one. God damn it. I had forgotten about that.
So when I got to the cooler with all the Bangs in it, another new Bang variety that I've never seen anywhere else was a keto coffee Bang.
Pass.
And I was so close to buying it for you, but I decided to be nice for a week.
Don't do it. I appreciate it for 1 week. Plus, as far as I understand right now, Bang's batting 1,000. I don't want to drink that and be like, why?
Right.
And why this now?
Honestly, and I remember looking at it and seeing that it was at least like 150 calories. It's probably delicious. It's probably like a
for that many
frap.
calories. If these are this good and they're 0 calories, I'm like, can you fucking...
If you give Bang 150 to work with,
for real.
They're knocking it out of the park.
Let's do this. Ooh,
wow.
Ooh, Nitro's right.
That was a lot of...
Hear that?
I sure did. Okay. We got a nice carbonated coffee here.
Oh my God. 5 out of 5.
Holy shit.
Oh, it's so good.
Ladies and gentlemen, our first 5 out of 5 in the history of the Big Freakin' Health Coach
Oh
podcast.
my God. Angels made this.
Good, huh? Is this Skittles related?
Yes, it's definitely candy, but it's not cotton candy. Like this.
Okay.
This could be melted Skittles. With a hint of energy drink.
I'm slowed down there. I'm really excited for halftime.
I should shotgun the rest of it. It's a little late now that I popped the top. But
So.
I have to put it out of reach so I don't drink it all before halftime.
So this is. I have mixed feelings. It's honestly not bad as a coffee flavor.
That's an important qualifier.
For coffee, yeah.
For
However,
coffee, it's not terrible.
It is in no way sweetened. So, like if this, in fact, I'm really tempted to go just do this right now. If this had like a little splash of some sugar-free syrup in it, it'd be bomb. I would love to drink that.
But
how
many calories would that be?
As is 0. Just cancer.
It's sugar. Just it's all fake stuff.
Calorie free.
So it rots your insides, but you don't gain any weight.
You only gain cancer.
Yeah, that's all. Awesome. What a great trade-off.
Not true. There have been no studies that actually show that artificial sweeteners give humans cancer in any way. Only mice when given an absurd amount that humans could never eat.
Truly ridiculous amounts that would be physically impossible for a human to take in.
Yes. And I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on this, I'm pretty sure the only one that they've actually seen that with, even in mice, is the aspartame.
Aspartame, but the ratio... So people freak out about aspartame because it's in like diet soda and stuff.
Yeah.
But the ratio that they give to those mice would be something like the equivalent of a human drinking an Olympic-sized swimming pool of aspartame daily.
Yeah, that's physically impossible.
Yeah.
To give yourself cancer with aspartame.
Fun stuff.
Fun stuff. I mean, most everything that I use that's artificial is what's the one? Sucralose, Splenda.
Oh yeah.
Which I don't think they've ever found any evidence that that's bad for you at all. Really.
Yeah. There's no conclusive evidence of that.
The point being, this could really use some Splenda. But
mine can't.
Yeah. But it's not bad coffee.
Okay. So what are you gonna give it?
I mean, as is, I gotta give it like a 2.8, just because I wouldn't select this.
For worse.
I wouldn't select this to drink on its own. Mm-hmm. However, if I were to sweeten it, I think it would be delicious because the coffee flavor itself does taste very high quality. It's
this
not
is
burnt.
The kind of stuff where I realize you're getting more into coffee.
Yeah.
Because you don't just go like, oh, coffee. Yeah. You go, actually, if I were to add blah, blah, you're in like 6 months, you're going to be walking into a Starbucks going, yeah, I'll have a half pumped up.
Oh my gosh.
And I'll be like,
sure hope not.
Neil. Dude, people can hear
embracing my inner Seattleite.
Yeah.
No, what it is part of my morning routine every day for months now has been to make my coffee and make it exactly how I want it so that it's delicious. Mm-hmm. I cycle through various sugar-free syrup varieties. Right now I'm working through, what is it? Hazelnut.
That's a good one.
It's delicious,
That's
man.
super good.
If you put 4 shots of espresso with a splash of almond milk and some sugar-free hazelnut syrup, if it's high-quality espresso, it's fire. Fire. You would like it. Guaranteed.
I would. I like hazelnut and that kind of stuff.
See?
Taylor puts hazelnut in a lot of things, and it is just delicious.
See, I feel like you've only ever had bad experiences with, like, severely undersweetened coffee.
Whoa. Are you insinuating that because I just drink the cheapest black coffee I can find, that's why I wouldn't like it?
It's entirely possible.
I reject that.
I mean, even,
you're probably right.
even that, for the longest time, I made Folgers taste palatable. So
you got skills.
Don't doubt yourself, man. You can do it. I believe
Just
in
gotta
you.
believe in me.
Just gotta believe in you.
Should we quit rambling and start doing the episode?
Should we? Have we started recording?
For like 4 hours ago.
What are we doing today, man?
We are Q&Aing each other.
Ooh,
I thought that would be a great idea.
What a fun twist.
It was Neil's brainchild idea, and I can't believe that we hadn't thought of it before. We do appreciate your questions, and we want you to keep sending more in.
Please.
We thought it'd be really fun to ask questions of each other for an episode.
I think I speak for us both when I say that the Q&As are like a big highlight of this podcast.
Oh, God, we love it.
It's so fun.
We love it so much.
So sort of the next logical step was just to come up with questions for each other because we've never done that before.
Yeah.
So
It's going to be a fun day.
it is going to be a fun day. I got some good ones for you, buddy.
All right. You want to just go back and forth?
Let's go back and forth. Why don't you kick us off?
All right. This seems appropriate since you're doing a bodybuilding show and are also gigantic. What would you say, if you had to pick one, is the number one factor in muscle growth? Hypertrophy.
Okay. Getting right down to business here.
Yeah. No softballs up front.
No. My first couple are much more lighthearted. So, the number one factor for muscle growth,
Yes.
I would say, as a blanket statement, total volume. But that is a very often misunderstood term. People hear that and they think, oh, that's just number of reps and sets. Mm-hmm. But it also has a lot to do with the load that you're using.
Yeah.
So volume, the true definition of volume for a muscle group is amount of weight lifted multiplied by number of reps per set multiplied by number of sets. So how much weight you're using for those reps actually makes a huge difference for muscle activation and ultimately hypertrophy, as opposed to, you're doing just really light, easy sets of 12 just because you're hitting that many reps. It's not necessarily beneficial.
Are there guidelines as far as like percentage of 1 rep max for certain set and rep schemes, and which are optimal?
So generally hypertrophy falls in the 8 to 12 rep range. I personally would stretch that to 6 to 12. Mm-hmm. I think that you can build a substantial amount of muscle doing 6s or even 5s. Just because you do have that increase in load and therefore you can rack up quite a bit of volume. Mm-hmm. What was your question?
Is there a percentage of 1 rep?
Oh, percentage. Those? Yeah. So if you're working within that 8 to 12 rep range, generally on the higher end of the 12 reppers, you're going to be working with 60 to 65% of your 1 rep max, up to 75 to 80% of your 1 rep max. And that's generally, once you get above that, once you're in 85% and up, that's generally considered more of a strength building program.
Like a maximal strength. That's like 5 or fewer reps.
Yes. 85% is generally, for most people, is generally considered your 5 rep max. Right. So, yeah, now you're more into strength and powerlifting territory. Not to say there is an overlap. Like you can, you're still going to build muscle doing that. You're going to build muscle lifting weights, no matter what. If you're eating properly to build muscle and you're picking up something heavy, you're going to build it. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of optimizing whatever the goal is, be it strength or hypertrophy.
Nice.
All right. So, buddy, pretty much every cheat meal related question or food related question, you've given a very similar answer.
I have.
So I decided to throw a wrench in that. And my first question for you is, if you could only eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be? No cheeseburgers.
No cheeseburgers.
Or burgers of any variety.
And it would have all the usual, like, I can't say pizza, but I'd still like be in good shape. Like, if I ate pizza every meal for the rest of my life, I would end up in a horrible condition.
Good question.
There's nothing special about it.
Good question. Yes. So all of the macros and calories and everything still apply.
Okay. Steak, baby.
Nice.
I'd eat steak. I'd eat steak with mashed potato or sweet potato, and an assortment of vegetables. And I do that because then I get all
solid answer.
Protein, B vitamins, creatine, good cholesterol.
But Alex, red meat is bad for your heart.
Only if you have a shit heart.
Exactly.
Exercise, dude.
Amen, buddy. Yeah, that's a solid answer because then you're still getting fats. You're still getting a solid amount of protein. You're still getting veggies for your micronutrients. Okay, let's get specific. What kind of veggie? It's the same meal.
Ooh, same meal every single time.
Every single time.
I would have to do like a cruciferous vegetable just for hormone support reasons, things like that. So I'd probably do broccoli or cauliflower.
Okay. Solid choices.
Yeah.
What about Brussels sprouts?
I love Brussels sprouts.
Let's consider...
Plus they're... I think are they cruciferous vegetables?
I think they're in the same family.
Let me see. I'm going to Google that.
Google it.
The first thing that comes up, are Brussels sprouts good for you?
Pretty sure they are.
I think you should focus on other areas of nutrition besides specific choices. If that's your question.
Yeah. If it's green and it grows out of the ground and it's a vegetable, it's probably good for you.
Yeah. They are a cruciferous vegetable. I changed
my
answer then. Brussels sprouts, for sure. They're super high protein for a veggie, too.
Nice. That's it. Man, I could probably eat steak and Brussels sprouts and mashed potatoes every meal, too.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's a great
choice.
choice.
Makes these Brussels sprouts that are just unfreaking believable. I could seriously just eat them by, like, the popcorn-sized bowl.
Nice. That sounds delicious. Okay. Your turn.
All right.
Or rather, my turn.
That's a good question, though. Now I really want a steak.
I know, right? I'm hungry.
Since you brought up volume, I'm going to skip down to this one.
Okay.
We kind of touched on how to decide how to track volume. How much volume per muscle group is ideal for hypertrophy?
Great question.
From the aspect of within the workout and over the course of the week.
Yeah, great question. Okay. So the specific poundage of volume is going to be a very individual thing, obviously.
And I imagine it would change from one muscle group to another.
Yes. So a good general rule of thumb would be for larger muscle groups, 12 to 15 sets at that 65 to 80, maybe 82% of your 1 rep max.
For the week.
For the week. This also is very dependent on experience level. Yeah. Because like for myself currently, for example, I'm doing a lot more than 15 sets per muscle group per week. But if we're talking sort of the beginner to intermediate lifter that's just trying to gain muscle and put on size, especially, that's a good sweet spot to where you're still getting enough recovery time for those muscle groups.
Nice.
Smaller muscle groups, I would say you could pretty easily get away with 8 to 10 sets per week. Again, in that same sort of realm of intensity, that's 65 to 82%.
And when you talk about larger to smaller muscle groups, are we talking about like compound versus isolated movements in regard to that? Or do you actually split it up by muscle?
I would say by muscle, in that, for example, your legs as a overall muscle group is going to demand more total volume than your arms, your bis and tris. Right. It's a much larger muscle group. And there's a lot of different muscles going on there. It's not just one muscle. It's your quads, which has 4 muscles built in. It's your hamstrings. It's your calves. So it's a very complex muscle group and for that reason, it does require more volume.
Yeah.
I would say the same for your back. Again, there's so much going on there. There's your lats, there's your traps, there's your rhomboids, there's your posterior delts. It's a hugely complicated anatomically part of your body. So that's going to require more volume as well. So when I say large muscle groups, I'm talking legs, back, chest to an extent that is sort of in the middle. Mm-hmm. Smaller muscle groups, we're talking about bis and tris, shoulders, delts. Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
I have a really hard question for you.
Hit me.
Would you rather,
Ooh.
These are the best,
I love these.
permanently lose 2 hours of sleep per night forever, or never drink caffeine ever again?
That's super easy. I would rather never drink caffeine again.
Okay.
I would rather have the sleep. 100%.
1 hour.
Well.
Where's the line?
Probably like, I wouldn't give up caffeine to lose a half hour of sleep forever.
Okay.
An hour is pretty significant. That makes a pretty big difference. That's a chunk of time.
Yeah.
So I would function better with the extra hour of sleep than all the caffeine in the world.
I have a lot of respect for that answer.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I'd prefer the caffeine, but like to function as a human.
Yeah.
I got to go with the sleep.
Nice. That's a very
health
coach thing
It's not the cool kid answer.
It's not, but it's a good answer. It's the right answer. For sure. For sure it's the right answer.
You can be correct or you can be cool. Which is it going to be?
100%. All right. I got harder ones coming up. Don't you worry.
Okay. Let's give you a softball one. Mm-hmm. Oh, this is what I was going to ask before we got started.
Oh, yeah.
So we were talking about how you have two first names.
Yes.
Neil, Austin.
Yep.
When people don't use your name, whether they're mistaking your last name for your first or not, mm-hmm. What do people usually call you? What do you think people think you look like name-wise?
Oh, like if they're guessing my name?
Yeah. Like if they forget your name completely and they look at you and go, hey, John. Like what name do they use?
That's a really
And do they usually use like the same name? Because like people always guess the same wrong name for me.
Really?
Yeah.
What is it?
They always guess Nick.
Really?
I don't think I look like a Nick, but people apparently think I look like a Nick. Every time they forget my name, they think I'm Nick.
Weird. I don't feel like I have one specific name that people mistakenly use. I've gotten Nate a fair amount, and I think it's also an in name.
Yeah.
And it's like short. Close. Yeah, I guess.
Kind of.
Ish.
25% of the same letters. 50% maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't really think of any others. I mean, I feel like...
If they're getting your attention and they don't know your name and they have to yell at you,
yeah.
What do they call you? Like big guy?
Yes, I get a lot of big guy.
Do you?
A lot of big guy. I don't know, man. Everybody just kind of knows my name. It's an easy one.
Oh, bummer. People know me.
I'm a celebrity. What can I say?
My apartment smells of rich mahogany. But yeah, you're a big deal.
I think big freaking deal. I think it's just an easy name to remember because it's less common. So like once people hear it, they go, "Oh, I don't really know any Neils," and then they remember it.
It's true.
Alex is a pretty common name.
There's literally millions of us.
So probably what they do, people hear your name, they associate that as being just a really common name. Mm-hmm. And then when they're thinking of your name, they think of the next most common thing.
Which is Nick.
Which is Nick, yeah, exactly.
There's a million of them too.
Exactly. People do often misspell my name, Neal, which is how losers named Neil spell their names.
Why would you want that?
I don't know. It's not how Neil Armstrong did it.
Damn straight.
Or Neil Young. None of the cool Neils in history have spelled their name like that. I can't think of even one.
The only thing I can think of is Kevin Nealon. And it's not even his name. It's just in there and spelled with name.
Doesn't count. Good question, man.
Kind of.
Sort of. It was a good question. I didn't have a very good answer for it. Okay, I got a little bit of heavier stuff for you now.
All right.
What are the mobility exercises that all powerlifters should be doing? Or are there?
Obviously, there's a bunch of individualization that goes into it. People are going to have mobility issues in different places.
For sure.
Based off of their anatomy and things like that.
I guess to clarify, specifically powerlifters who are primarily benching, squatting, deadlifting heavy every single week. What are the implications there for mobility?
Typically, you're going to see a lot of internal rotation at the shoulders.
Okay.
You're going to see a lot of kyphosis in the thoracic spine. So just like kind of that hunched over forward from all the tension in their pecs.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that goes on. And really, there are a lot of things that you can do to kind of free up those shoulders a bit. But there's a certain point at which their mobility is actually going to rob them of some strength in their chosen lift. So there's a certain amount of what would be considered excessive tension that's required.
Yeah.
And that's kind of typical for any athlete who is world class at their sport.
Yeah.
There's a certain degree to which the sport repetitive movements that they do are not healthy functioning, but they are required for peak performance.
I really like that distinction because people often will talk about mobility as something that you just always need more of no matter what.
Yeah.
People don't really talk about, no, you actually need a little bit of tension for the movements that you're doing.
Oh yeah. And that's true of every sport. So you always have to put every single kind of physical expectation in context with the individual and the outcome that you're trying to achieve.
Right.
So that's one. I mean, there's also obviously hip implications, and you'd want to maintain some kind of spinal thoracic mobility, lumbar mobility, things like that.
Okay.
Just for the sake of health. But then again, it's all day vertical loading on the spine. So you can mobilize it all you want, but if you mobilize it to a point where it's less stable, then you're actually inviting more injury than you would be preventing.
Yeah.
So
if you were coaching a powerlifter on a mobility program, how much would you have them do, and what would you have them do?
We would run a bunch of assessments to see what their active and passive ranges of motion are without any load.
Yeah.
And I think my only basic requirement that I could kind of give as a guideline for everybody would be that whatever range of motion you are required to use in competition, you would be able to achieve those positions, control those positions, stabilize those positions, and do all that moving in and out of those positions without load as well.
Nice.
Like, that would be it. So you have to be able to completely control everything you need.
Yeah.
So like I've seen folks who lift heavy at gyms and things who can't get all the way down to the bottom of their squat unless they have at least 185 to 200 pounds on their back.
I've seen that too.
That is not good mobility.
Yeah.
That is an injury waiting to happen.
Yeah.
So if you can't reach depth with your body weight, you shouldn't be reaching it with a bar.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Nice, buddy. I have a follow-up question that's related, so I'll just jump right to it.
Go for it.
What are the mobility exercises that bodybuilders should all be doing? So we're talking higher volume, more accessory work, probably a body part split, less heavy.
It's, there aren't a ton of hard and fast mobility rules for that because it's not a performance-based sport in the same way.
Sure.
You need to have adequate mobility to put together a good routine. You need to be able to hit all your poses and do that. So like if you have trouble with rolling your shoulder blades back and you have to, what's that pose they do with the hands behind the back and like
side tricep?
Yeah, that guy. If you can't reach that position to give a really solid showing of that horseshoe on the back of your arm, it's a problem. Yeah. So there are some basic mobility requirements there. Mostly it comes down to twisting, because I know a lot of those half poses you still want to seem wide across the chest and things like that. So you need adequate thoracic mobility for posing. You need adequate hip and shoulder mobility so that you can externally rotate at the hip when you have quad stuff to show off, adductor stuff to show off. Even for your glutes, if you're going to spread the floor and get those hamstrings firing and your glutes firing really hard, you need adequate external rotation in your hips. Shoulders are a big one. So there's like wall slides with a lift off, so you can get your shoulder blades retracted and depressed. You can get full overhead.
Yeah.
Really, all of that comes down to maintaining tissue quality and adequate range of motion for your training more than even the actual meat. So
I love that you went to posing, because that was actually one of the things that hadn't occurred to me when I think I already announced on here that I'm actually, this time around, I'm actually working with a coach for posing specifically, leading up to the show. And one of the things that hadn't occurred to me is that the mobility demands of the different poses are super important. Yeah. So doing mobility exercises, not just to prep for exercises like in your training, but actually so that you can get in those positions and showcase correctly. So it's a great answer, man.
Thanks, man.
Great answer. You want to help me with my shoulder mobility?
Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's my favorite thing.
I thought it might be.
God, that's the second F-bomb I dropped this show. I'm slipping, man.
Here, I think it's...
Is it halftime?
Let's get a third F-bomb going.
Oh, God.
I'm really excited to try this.
This is the thing, though. Like, in my normal life, I cuss so much more than I do on this show.
Yeah.
And the only reason I don't on this show, it's not like an authenticity issue. It's that if you're listening to this, but your kids are in the car, I don't want you to have to switch the station.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Like, that's the only reason that I try to keep it a little more PG.
PG-13.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like we're usually PG-13. PG-13 is like one F-bomb, right?
Yeah.
Per movie?
You're allowed one.
I feel like that's about what, I guess we're rated R now because you dropped 2.
I would admit it.
But just generally.
All over this.
Yeah, you did.
All right, let's try this monstrosity.
I'm so excited. You're going to hate that.
I can smell that I'm going to hate it already.
Ooh.
This is not as bad as the one you got me.
Okay. I believe that.
That one.
I believe that 100%.
I swear you could taste the grain in it.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Ooh, that is delicious, man. I'm trying to figure out what it reminds me of.
Because, like, it's kind of Skittles, but it's not.
There's definitely some Skittles in there.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely, like, fruity candy.
Fruity, semi-sour candy.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. That makes me think of, like, sitting at the movie theater, the packet of Skittles. Oh,
yeah. Dude, I miss the movies.
I was just about to say, I miss going to the movies a lot.
Yeah. I'm a pretty big movie guy.
Me too.
So, like, the experience is, like, actually important to me.
I know. I feel like everyone I talk to is just over movie theaters. They're like, I have to watch it at home and pause it and go to the bathroom.
No. Your chair doesn't recline. Yeah. The screen's not nearly as big. The sound's not as good.
It's totally about the experience.
Yeah.
I think, this is my hope anyway, that the movie theater industry now, just as a effort to survive, will probably just bring up that experience even more.
I'm hoping it's a hard pivot towards, like, the iPicks.
Yes.
Like the
but, like, more
theaters.
affordable?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it would be roughly the same ticket price as before, maybe a little bit more.
Maybe, like, like 50% more.
Yeah.
Or something.
But then, like, yeah, you go in and... Or, like, they really go all out and go old Hollywood with some of those places. And, like, you go in, the guy's wearing the red and white striped thing with the paper hat. And
yes.
Like, oh, wonderful to see you. Have a great time enjoying the picture. There you go.
I would totally pay $5 extra a ticket for more of a high-end experience like that.
Yeah.
Like...
Definitely.
Seats spread further apart, which we'll have to do anyway. Mm-hmm. But, like, more room around you.
God, maybe a footrest.
Ooh, yeah. Footrest, blanket.
Mm-hmm. So those theaters with the rumble seats now?
Ooh, I haven't seen that.
There were a couple. I don't think Woodinville near us was one of them. I can't remember. Mm-hmm. There are a couple theaters around here where the seats rumble.
Okay.
When stuff happens. So, like, with the sound, it'll rumble.
Actually, you know what? I think I have been in one of the, like, once. I experienced that. Yeah.
That's kind of cool, too.
Dang. We should go to a movie as soon as they're open.
For real. What's our... is it my turn?
It is... yeah.
Okay.
Or, yes, I believe so.
All right. Well, you kind of asked one of mine. I got my I had the question, what's the role of mobility and tissue quality in powerlifting?
Ooh.
Like, is it widely considered a thing that people don't do? Is it something that's creeping into the practices? What's the general attitude towards it in the sport?
I would say it's changed a lot. I think that back in the day, more old school powerlifters gave it no thought and was kind of looked on as silly and like, oh, I don't stretch, like that kind of vibe. And the pendulum has swung almost too far in the other direction, where now you'll see powerlifters that spend an hour and a half on a foam roller before they start squatting. So I don't know. And then there's definitely some middle ground too, but it's become more of the cool thing to do is to spend a whole bunch of time on mobility before you lift, without a whole lot of actual educated thought put into it.
You know, now that you mentioned that, I do remember seeing that when gyms were open. I do remember seeing that a little bit, where people with perfectly good ankle mobility are doing like 2, 3, 4 ankle mobility warm-ups.
Yes.
And it's like, you don't need that.
Yeah.
You could spend that time on something else.
Yeah. Like actually doing the squats. Yep, I agree 100%. Okay. Ooh, this is a really good one. What fitness-related social media content makes you the maddest? I know there's a lot.
Oh, there's so many. I think I can cover a lot of them, though, by saying that the two things that drive me nuts, because I'll never be able to narrow it down to one, I'm sorry, are A, gimmicky products that don't do jack shit for you, but are expensive and people swear up and down that you need them.
Meaning supplements? Supplement-wise?
That could be supplements, that could be equipment, that could be the little ab cage cruncher thing, like any of those garbagey products.
Okay.
And the other thing are coaches who deal in absolutes when it comes to training protocols. You should only use kettlebells. Kettlebells are the best thing ever. Get off that TRX, put down the barbell. These are kettlebells, and it's the answer to all your problems.
Dude, that is such... Oh, it's funny you say that. That is such a typical post you'll see. Of it's always the same. It's like worded in such a way that it's supposed to get like a reaction out of people. And it's always said like matter-of-factly, like, you're stupid for never thinking of this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it'll be a sweeping blanket statement like that, like,
are you still using blah, 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 blah?
Yeah, exactly. It's so annoying.
Yeah, there's no one answer.
No.
And any good coach should be using a combination of many things. If you have one tool in your toolbox, well, then you are a tool. Like, that's, you're done. You have no way to help people who don't need specifically that one thing that you do. Yep. And that makes you a pointless coach.
Nice.
So that any social media that's just like, you need this thing.
Yeah.
And then also, you need a waist trainer. You don't.
No, you don't.
None of that crap do you actually need.
Nope. You need a dialed in nutrition and a training program. That's what you need.
Yep. A little bit of consistency.
Problem solved. Of consistency and healthy habits. Good answer.
Thank you, sir. How about who has been the most inspirational fictional character to you?
Ooh.
No real people.
No real people. I mean, immediately when you were halfway through that question, I was thinking HealthCoachCain. And then I heard fictional, and I was like, damn it. There goes my perfect answer.
Or you could keep that answer and be like, dude, that dude's fake as shit.
This is all an act.
He's over here shotgunning cheeseburgers and eating pizzas.
As soon as the camera's off, man, it's a Jekyll and Hyde situation.
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, okay. So... Oh, it's going to be really hard to narrow it down to one.
I know. It's a rough question. If you want to give a top three, I'll deal with the top three.
I'm going to have to go the superhero route.
Great.
I'm going to have to say, I mean, the obvious choice is the Incredible Hulk. Because when I was a kid, I grew up on, do you remember the Eric Bana Hulk movie.
Where he was neon green.
Dude, that movie was my shit. I loved that movie.
I may have watched that movie many times.
I watched that movie a lot, and I had it on VHS, and I remember watching it on this little... we had like one of those little black boxy TVs with a tiny screen with the built-in VHS on the bottom.
Oh, yeah. Throwback.
Oh, dude, I just had that thing set up with Hulk on repeat. Yeah, that definitely had a big influence on me. Okay, let's go. Let's pick 3. Let's go top 3.
Hulk's good. He's a slightly smaller version of you.
Slightly. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Okay. I'm gonna go Hulk. I'm gonna go Spider-Man.
Solid.
Was a huge inspiration to me as a kid too. Actually, Spider-Man I was into first out of all of them.
He's a good gateway hero for sure.
He is, man. I always liked how he was just a normal kid who had homework.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's think of a non-superhero for my third. Can't do it. I'm gonna have to go Wolverine.
Yes.
Because just the swagger, the beard,
dude,
the attitude.
Because he's the best at what he does, and what he does is nice.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's my 3: Hulk, Wolverine, Spider-Man.
It's good. That's also a great lineup in Marvel vs. Capcom.
Right? There you go. There you go.
If you play that video game, you set that up, you're going to win.
You're definitely winning.
Doesn't matter who your opponent picks.
I'm going to cheat and say same question because I want to hear yours.
Oh, okay. Spidey's up there. And it sounds really ridiculous. When I was a kid, I took comic book storytelling very seriously, if that's a reasonable thing to say.
Okay.
I've always been a huge believer in personal responsibility for everything.
Yes.
And with great power comes great responsibility was like an actual thing for me when I was younger.
Okay.
And it was just like, because I think it works both ways. If you have the power to do things, you're responsible for doing them and doing them well.
Yes.
If you want to be responsible for doing great things, you need that before you're given the power.
I like it.
So like, I've always been very much everything in the world is my fault.
Yeah. Yep.
That doesn't mean you have to stress out about all of it, but like everything that happens in my life is a consequence of the decisions that I make or don't make. Mm-hmm. And Spider-Man comics are just the most punishingly poignant version of that in comic books. So Spidey was a huge one. Plus, I really like ripped acrobatic kind of fight scenes in comic books. I think they're super cool.
Yes.
So that's a big one. Wolverine's always a favorite just because he's a total badass all the time.
I know, right?
So it's hard not to say Wolverine.
Yeah.
Daredevil was a favorite of mine for a really long time.
Okay.
Until the Ben Affleck movie ruined it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I like tortured ones, and I liked overpowered heroes that don't use that for... So like Superman... Superman comics are really boring to read because every fight should take about 40 seconds.
Exactly.
But what I like about Superman is he has all the power you could ever want as a person, and he doesn't abuse any of it.
That's true.
So it's one giant comic about self-control.
Basically, yeah. That's very valid. Yeah, my only gripe with Superman was that because he only had the one weakness... Yeah. Therefore, by default, every single storyline involved that one weakness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas with other heroes, there were a variety of obstacles and weaknesses they had to deal with. So, I don't know. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's accurate.
So, I'd probably go with, that was like 5 or something like that. I also love Batman. Who doesn't love Batman?
Who doesn't love Batman? I mean, you are Batman. We've already established that.
I mean, I'm kind of... Just my own fan club over here. I mean, he's gone through a lot, guys. Really give him some credit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd go with several of those.
Nice. I like it. I like, and I'm not at all surprised by the fact that we both went 100% superhero with that.
Yeah. I think you find that a lot in fitness anyway.
Oh,
You see a lot of inspiration from comic book characters.
I've heard that from
personalities.
Multiple professional bodybuilders saying that they started out looking at comic books or like He-Man dolls and stuff like that. Yeah. Whose turn is it? Your turn.
Yes.
Because I turned your question back on you.
You did.
How many?
It right on its head.
How many you got left?
I got 3 left.
I've got 2. So
okay, I'll go next now.
Okay.
So as someone who's in prep, you're dealing with a calorie deficit.
Yes.
You have less energy than usual. What are, getting back to serious questions, what are ideal recovery practices for hypertrophy while you're at maintenance calories or below, let's say?
Okay. Okay, so the big one that I'm pretty regularly failing at right now is sleep. Makes a huge difference. So for a couple of reasons, a lot of the growth that occurs when we're talking about hypertrophy happens while you're sleeping. It's also when you get a nice big release of a whole bunch of really good hormones for hypertrophy, like growth hormone. So if you're skimping on sleep, therefore you're missing out on some of that hormonal boost. You're spending less time in the state where you're actually building muscle. Mm-hmm. So another caveat to that, though, is that it's more about quality of sleep than quantity. So if you're sleeping for 6 hours a night, which is what I've been averaging, but a good percentage of that, a good solid percentage of that is REM sleep, then you're still going to get some pretty good recuperative rest from that. If you're sleeping for 6 hours a night and most of that is not REM sleep, then you're going to be hurting for sure. Really, there's only a couple ways that you can track that, but if you have like a fitness watch or something, usually those are pretty good at determining what type of sleep you're in usually based on your movement and your heart rate variability. So the watch, a good fitness watch, will be able to tell based on what your heart rate is doing and how much you're moving around if you're in REM sleep or not.
Nice.
So if you are someone who struggles with sleep, like myself, it's not a bad idea to invest in one of those just to see like where your quality is at. Yeah. So sleep is a big one. Next up, I would probably say protein requirements. Specifically, so if you're at maintenance calories or even in a deficit, protein becomes increasingly important because you're going to be losing weight in a deficit and you don't want that weight to be coming from muscle. So there's multiple studies out there that correlate an increase in protein intake to better muscle retention while in a calorie deficit.
Nice.
If you lose 5 pounds, you don't want 4 of those 5 pounds to be muscle mass. That's the opposite of what you want to achieve. So you want to keep your protein high so that all 5 of those pounds are coming from body fat and not muscle tissue. So I would say a good place to start for most people, if they're in a deficit, is at least 1 gram per pound of body weight. And I've seen studies, basically 1 gram per pound all the way up to, I think 1.3 or 1.4 grams per pound of body weight on the top end. Yeah. And that's around when they started to see the diminishing returns on that. Like, okay.
It's just wasted protein above that?
Yeah. Up to that point, you are getting more muscle retention, but beyond that, negligible. It's not going to do much for you. So, yeah, those are the big things, and just making sure you're taking a recovery day every week, especially if you are in a calorie deficit, because you're not going to be recovering as efficiently from your nutrition. You're, by definition, in a deficit of energy. So taking a full day to actually replenish a little bit and recuperate is super important.
Nice.
Definitely. All right. What is the most underrated exercise that you personally program the most for your clients?
Dead bugs.
Okay.
Dead bugs, if you don't know what a dead bug is, it is a core exercise where you lay on your back on the floor and you get in what I like to call roadkill position with your hands pointing straight up to the ceiling.
I like it.
And a 90-degree bend at your hip and your knee. So your femur is pointing directly at the ceiling as well. And then from there, you take a deep breath in and exhale, bracing your core. So you're maintaining the position of your neutral lumbar spine while you extend opposite sides, arm and leg. So like your left leg and your right arm.
Nice.
And as you extend, it tries to force your lumbar spine into extension as well. And your abdominal bracing is what prevents that lumbar extension. So it's a great core exercise, and it gives you a lot better immediate feedback as to how neutral you're keeping your spine than like a plank would.
Yeah.
So when you see people completely butchering a plank and they have a really bowed spine, their hips are sagging a lot. If you simply flip them over and make them create force into the floor with their low back during a dead bug, they'll get much better, not only deep core activation with the TVA, the transverse abdominis, but also with the rectus abdominis, those six-pack muscles, and all the other ones that support your core on the anterior side in the front.
I like that. That is definitely a great exercise that you hardly ever see people doing.
Yeah.
For sure. I think part of it, too, is people often will butcher that exercise where they're doing the movement, but their lower back is curved on the floor, and they're not really activating those muscles.
And they just flail their arms and legs like that's the exercise.
So people just move their arms and legs around. They go, oh, I don't really feel this in my core. This is kind of a BS exercise, and they stop doing them.
Well, it's one of those ones. It takes a lot of focus.
Yeah.
Which is the difficult part at the onset, especially if you don't have a good neuromuscular connection to your core musculature.
Yeah.
But repetition will get you that. The other side of that coin is it can be infinitely difficult as long as you can keep adding focus, breathing harder, and moving slower.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Nice. I like it.
What do you think?
Solid answer. Did I program the most for people? I would say... it's hard to pick one. I would say if I had to choose one, single leg hinging exercises, specifically single leg hip thrusts or single leg glute bridges. Those are exercises that when a big 260-pound powerlifter client does them, that's not something that typically those types of clients will gravitate towards. It's generally seen as not an exercise for that demographic.
It's like an Instagram model exercise.
Yeah, exactly. But one of the best things for fixing muscular imbalances in your posterior chain, which a lot of people have, if I'm sure you've experienced this too, you get a client on a single leg hip thrust for the first time, or even a glute bridge, there's usually a pretty striking difference between the two sides.
Yeah.
More so than a lot of other single leg exercises.
And not even just in the strength of that movement, but the stabilization of the pelvis during that movement from one side to the other.
100%. So if you think about that even from a powerlifting point of view, if you have that imbalance just doing a body weight single leg exercise, that imbalance is still present when you're deadlifting 500 pounds.
Yeah.
So over time, repetitively working through that imbalance with heavy weight, you're definitely at higher risk of injury. So. Yeah. All right. Solid answers. What you got for me? I got one more left.
I got two left. So you talked about volume early in the episode. If I'm looking to add more volume, are there any guidelines on how to add more volume without adding just a bunch of garbage volume? So like if I'm already flat bar bench pressing, do I need to do a dumbbell bench and an incline bench and a decline bench and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
How do I choose how to add volume to a muscle group?
It's a great question. I would say it comes down to the individual, and it comes down to focusing on weak points. For example, so if you're starting out with your flat barbell bench press, what you move on to next is going to depend on what you need to target personally. So somebody who has a underdeveloped upper chest would benefit hugely from moving on to, say, a dumbbell incline bench press. Somebody who has a overdeveloped upper chest and has trouble just activating the rest of their pecs might benefit more from moving on to a flat dumbbell bench press or even a decline press. So it's a very individual thing. Mm-hmm. I would say there's no reason to throw in exercises just because you've seen other people doing them. It's more about what do you need to work on.
Yeah.
That will ensure that the volume you're adding is actually bringing value to the workout and providing you with benefit.
Because you don't want to be wasting energy on a bunch of redundant stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. If you even like a body part, if your chest is already your strong point, there's no reason you need to do 5 different presses for your chest on a given workout. You know what I mean? But if you're doing, like, let's say a upper body push day, you do 1 chest press variation and then your shoulders are a weak point. So then you move on to vertical pressing. That sort of mindset of finding what you need, where the volume actually needs to be for the workout.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Nice.
Related question to my last one. What do you think is the most overrated exercise that you almost never program for clients?
Ooh. Maybe it's just the gym that I'm training out of right now. Mm-hmm. But the American kettlebell swing.
Is that the one that goes all the way overhead?
Yes. So you do a kettlebell swing, you extend your arms all the way straight up over your head. It adds absolutely nothing to the kettlebell swing, but it does add a boatload of potential impingement issues with your shoulders.
Yes.
Getting up overhead. It also makes it significantly more dangerous since that bell is up above your head now.
Yeah.
I do kettlebell swings all the time, but like you should get them to shoulder height and that's it.
Yeah.
It's all about explosive hip extension, not about ripping your arms up over your head.
I've never understood that variation at all.
No. I mean, the trade-off is to get that up over your head safely, you have to use a load light enough that it's not a challenge for your hips.
Right.
And then at no point do you use your hips.
So
you just use your shoulders to get up
it's
there.
less effective.
And then, if you're just going to do front raises like that, you might as well do it in a slow and controlled fashion with dumbbells or a plate or something like that.
Yes.
Where you can really feel those muscles and not a ballistic movement where you suddenly have to stabilize it over your head.
Yeah.
And that's not even like the same way as you would with like a clean, or I mean a snatch. So like Olympic lifting, you do a snatch, you throw it up over your head, but it's more or less a vertical path and you catch it already at the bottom of a movement and stabilize it there.
Yeah.
You're not doing the half arc swinging motion and then trying to stop it as it moves from anterior to posterior, front to back, and shredding all your pecs and subscap and things like that with a high enough load. So I think that's one of the dumbest exercises on earth. You see it everywhere. It's on TV all the time. I hate it. Yeah. I've never programmed it for anyone. Yeah. And I've told them exactly that when they ask me why. And they're like, oh, wow, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Yeah, that's super is.
Once you explain it, that's a no-brainer for sure. Buddy, I'm super sorry. I'm actively about to pee my pants. So I'll be right back.
Should I vamp? Like, what do I talk about? You're just going to cut this out?
Let's see. I might cut it out. I might not, depending on what you come up with. Here.
Cool. All right. Once upon a time.
officially.
Let me see. Other exercises while we wait for Big Neil. Other exercises that get a lot of attention but don't do you a whole lot of good. For general population folks, really it comes down to excessive use of otherwise good exercises, I think. So you'll see people who, guys especially, will show up and do chest and biceps 2-3 times a week, and you just don't need that much volume for those muscle groups over the course of the week. And if you're not balancing it out with some of the less sexy exercises like rows, face pulls, band pull-aparts that would balance your musculature from the front of your body to the back, you're just setting yourself up for muscle imbalances, tension imbalances, altered joint, or they call it arthrokinematics. It's joint movement. That's the kind of stuff that leads to injury over time. So really, I think it comes down a lot to simply having a balanced workout program more than anything else. You can pick individual exercises all day and night that you agree with or don't agree with, but at the end of the day, it comes down to the context of your programming.
You just did not miss a beat, huh?
No, man, I kept running.
Nice work, dude. I'm impressed. I'm really impressed. Oh, so I recently increased my water intake at the request of my coach, and also just drank the rest of that energy drink, and man, I was hurting there for a minute.
The combo is flooring you.
It is. It's like, you know when you're right on the line and you think, okay, we're almost done. I can make it like another 10 minutes. And then all of a sudden it's like, nope.
It's like, nope, your 10 minutes are up.
No, I can't. You can't. You literally can't keep your legs still because you have to pee so bad.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm nearing that mark myself.
Good. Are you?
Yeah, getting there.
Don't make me riff.
I got one more question for you that I bet you could actually riff on if we wanted to do that.
Hear it, buddy.
Describe to me your dream gym. You have unlimited money. You have unlimited space. You have unlimited resources.
Oh my God.
Paint me a word picture of the gym that you would build.
Oh, buddy. Oh, wow. Dude. Okay. Giant warehouse.
Love it already.
As a good starting point. Huge warehouse. Just one massive room. One big ass room. At least 4 or 5 giant garage doors. Oh man, I would have all the squat racks in the world, probably 10 squat racks minimum.
Yeah.
Huge strip of turf down the middle. Prowler sled for sure. Actually, a couple different variety of sleds. Big ass tires to flip. Okay. Obviously, bunch of freestanding benches. Dumbbell rack from 5 to 200.
Nice. You have to get 160 on up, custom made.
Yeah, that's right.
Awesome.
I know. Hey, if money's not an issue, we're going all in. Oh man, and then okay, so that's one big section. Another big section would be all of the cool, actually good, like old school plate loaded machines. Oh man,
how is it that the plate loaded is still just so vastly superior to the pin loaded?
It really is.
Like, it's so much better.
It really is. It's all about the constant weight.
Yeah.
Because with a pin loaded, with a pulley system, you're losing tension usually throughout the range of motion. Plate loaded, you're not, unless it utilizes a pulley system or.
There is racked and unracked.
Yes.
And that is it.
Exactly. Yeah, the best plate loaded machines are the ones where it's straight up true weight. Like you unrack it and you're whatever's on there is what you're lifting.
Yeah.
Okay, so of those, definitely plate loaded preacher curl, seated shoulder press.
That's my favorite machine.
Right.
I love it.
Plate loaded incline press, for sure. I really like. Have you ever seen those plate loaded flat presses that you do standing up, and you have a variety of handles?
I have not seen those. That sounds incredible.
Buddy, I once encountered that at a gym in Tennessee, and it's awesome. I like it a lot better than any other flat press machine I've used. So it's like you have handles at various heights, so you can target several different parts of your chest just on the same machine, and also just depending on how tall you are. And you do it standing up against the backrest rather than sitting.
That's awesome.
It's great. Oh man, what else? Haven't even talked about leg machines yet. Hack squat, reverse hack squat.
Are you a belt squat kind of guy?
I, full disclosure, have never used one.
Well, all right.
Ever, but they look awesome. They look really cool. I've only seen them at a couple of gyms.
Belt squat is like there's a platform. There's a belt attached to it with a pulley that goes straight down through the floor.
Yeah.
And the pulley's attached to the plates or the stack or whatever. Yeah. And it's loading your hips for your squat versus having a bar on your back.
Yeah.
So it can take a little bit of pressure off your spine, but you still can load the hell out of your squat.
I would love one of those.
If you've never seen one of those, that's what we're referring to there.
Yeah.
They're cool.
Easy. Yeah, no brainer. I would definitely have one of those. At least like 4 or 5 leg presses. Vertical leg press.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. Okay. Then we're going to need a plate-loaded lat pull-down machine.
Yep.
Do you remember the one we had at Gold's?
I actually liked that
back
one.
when. I did too.
That was a really good one.
That is the only machine that I've seen that is a true, just like straight up vertical lat pull down that's plate loaded.
Yeah.
Because you see a lot of the ones that are more like seated high rows. They come down more at a forward angle.
Kinda,
yeah. But to get a true vertical pull,
yeah,
that machine was
awesome. I think
awesome.
it was really effective too. Like my lats got a lot stronger using that machine. Yes. It was very, very good.
Yes, I would love one of those. Definitely a place to do chin-ups, dips, assisted chin-up machine. Cables for sure. Yep.
Do you like the crossover rack? Do you like the free motion? Both.
Probably both.
Those little units and
I like the ones that are like the cable crosses that are fully adjustable.
Mm-hmm.
I like those better than like the adjustable arms. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The ones that you can just adjust them up and down, and it's 2 independent stacks of plates.
Usually attached to like a seated row and a lat pull down.
Yeah,
kind of deal.
Exactly. Definitely want a couple of those. Yeah, man. I think that covers it, maybe.
If you were to look at a catalog, you'd find about 1,000 other things.
100%.
Off the top of your head, that's pretty solid.
We could probably spend like at least 2 hours going over this for sure.
Yeah.
Ooh, and definitely a bunch of specialty bars too.
Yeah,
squat bars, deadlift bars.
Like the Buffalo bar? Is it Buffalo or Duffalo bar? The one that's...
Those are 2 different things, I think.
Okay.
The Duffalo bar, I could be totally off. I believe the Duffalo bar is the one that's always curved.
Mm-hmm.
And usually used for, like you can use it on a bench press to increase your range of motion because the middle is bowed. I think people squat with it too. I'm not sure.
Some people squat with it. I think it's easier on shoulder external rotation to have it at an angle versus a flat bar.
I can see that. And then the Buffalo bar, I believe, is the super bendy deadlift bar that bends a lot.
All right.
I think strongman deadlift usually uses that. Pretty sure. But yeah, man. Safety squat bar, trap bar.
Football bar.
That's the
bench one that has the multiple grips.
Neutral grips and stuff. Yes. Definitely that. Oh, man.
Yeah, that's a dream right there.
I want to just go work out in this gym right now that we just described.
You know what my favorite piece of equipment for a gym is? Open space.
Yes.
That's my favorite thing. You can have all the stuff in there you want, and you should. And I really want all the stuff you just listed. Mm-hmm. But you need plenty of space in between everything to move around and do stuff. And I like non-treadmill, non-conventional cardio.
Yeah.
So like get your ellipticals out of here. Get your stationary bikes out of here. We have assault bikes. We have rowers. We have the Woodway sprint treadmills.
Yes.
Like that's the stuff that I would put in there for conditioning in addition to the sleds.
Yeah. I would have like a couple, like 2 or 3 treadmills, just standard treadmills. But then other than that, I would just do assault bike, rowing machine for sure, step mill.
Step mill is a good one.
I'm a big fan of the step mill.
It's brutal.
Yeah. Oh man.
Good stuff.
We should definitely, when this is over, just continue talking about this.
Yeah. I brought crayons. We can make some drawings.
Perfect. Oh, dude, that was fun. We should do that again.
Dude, we should do that again. That was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun.
We do love answering your questions.
Yes.
So please keep sending them. You can DM them to us on Instagram. We put up Q&A slides on our stories occasionally. So please keep asking your questions.
Yes.
This has been a good long episode of the Big Freakin' Health Coach podcast.
2-parter.
Yeah, we'll definitely split this in 2. So hopefully you listen to both parts. If you're listening to this part right now and you missed the first half, go back to last week. and get the first half over there. That's BigFreakinNeil. I'm HealthCoachCain. This has been super fun.
Super fun.
And if you got a lot out of it, please leave us a 5-star review and share it with your friends.
Please.
And help spread good fitness information in a world that needs some.
Yes, very much so.
Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time.
See you next time, guys.